I remember thinking back in March of 2020, as I was working as a chaplain at Baylor All Saints Medical Center, and we began to see a steady rise in the number of COVID-19 cases in the hospitals, and businesses began asking their employees to stay home and shelter in place. It was only a month before Easter Sunday. At that time, I thought to myself, maybe if we can just hang on and do what we need to do to stay safe for a few weeks, everything will calm down and be under control by Easter. And we could truly have a celebration at that time that will mean even more to us. Of course, it has now been almost 2 years of sheltering in place, and things have only gotten worse. Despite businesses insisting on opening up and trying to return back to some semblance of normalcy, COVID-19 has not gone away and has claimed millions of lives in the United States alone. It has disrupted and changed our lives in profound ways that none of us could have ever expected. My friends and colleagues throw around the phrase the new normal, recognizing the fact that nothing may ever go back to the normal that we once knew. Even the optimist in me has trouble staying optimistic most days. And yet, the more the year goes on, the more I find myself getting ever hopeful. I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but my reasons for this otherworldly sense of optimism are simple. It is almost Christmas. I love holidays. I am that weird person that has every major holiday marked out on the calendar and gets progressively more excited the closer that we get to whatever holiday is coming next. I have such a love of holidays that I've even created my own just so that I have something to look forward to. Yes, I have the day that Starbucks serves a pumpkin spice latte in the calendar of my phone, August 27th, for those of you who are keeping track. But of all the holidays and celebrations of the year, there is none bigger and none that I expect more than Christmas. I do not know exactly when my love affair with Christmas began or why it rules over all other holidays in my mind. Perhaps it is the fact that my ADHD is joyfully overstimulated from houses and businesses decked out in lights and tinsel and Christmas music piped nonstop over the loudspeakers. It is the fact that there is an endless flurry of holiday baking that takes place, including many of the unique British traditions like mince pies and Christmas pudding that remind me of my heritage. But despite what the stores at the mall will tell you about how there are only so many shopping days left until that fateful morning when you unwrap presents under the Christmas tree, there has always been an existential sense of peace that comes with the holiday season that I look forward to every year. It is as if, for just a moment, there is a pause when we get to look back on all the events of the year that has taken place, and we get to take in a much needed deep breath. It is almost like we are getting the chance to say, look at everything that has happened this year. Look at everything that we have gotten through. At that point, the holidays become our much needed release, a chance to relax and give ourselves a moment of long overdue celebration as we close out the year and prepare ourselves for what is to come in the next year. However, I am admittedly a little bit more anxious than usual at the thought of Christmas. It feels like a giant question mark that looms on the horizon that fills me with uncertainty. I'm usually one who is happy to embrace and live in the mystery of things, but COVID-19 and its endless array of new variants has exhausted my patience with having to do that. My hope was that by the time we got to December, that things would have subsided and that we would at least be able to go back to socializing and seeing each other in person, if nothing else. But all the activities that I look forward to around the holiday season, walking around the stores and doing Christmas shopping, going to look at Christmas lights, listening to carolers singing, are all still considered to be risky behaviors. Even the holidays that I so look forward to are going to be completely changed because of the new normal. I would be lying if I said that I was not already feeling sad and defeated because of it. And with all these feelings going on in the back of my mind, I came across Reverend Jake Morrell's An Adequate Christmas reading while looking for readings for another sermon and another service. Even though he wrote the reading back in 2017, the sentiment behind the words speaks very much to the uncertainty about the holidays that is going on today. I even chuckled to myself as I read the title, thinking to myself that an adequate Christmas was going to be the best that we could hope for in a time of global pandemic. But the more I read Reverend Jake's reflection, the more that I came to the realization that spending the holidays with family can be a stressful undertaking, even in the best of circumstances. This is especially true for those in the LGBTQIA+ community who are coming home to families after coming out and figuring out who they are, only to return to being misgendered and misidentified by those that they love and from whom they are seeking approval. Our political climate has succeeded in polarizing family members that voted for different candidates so much that we cannot even find enough common ground to sit at the same dinner table with each other, even if it is for just an evening. As much as I may need a little Christmas right this very minute and look forward to it as a joyous celebration and culmination of the year, for others, it truly is an endurance event, one that many people look forward to just getting through. Yet in this time of COVID-19, we have been reminded all too much of the necessity to take every day that we are given and to make the most of it, because we do not know if the next day will be our last, as echoed by the prayer at the end of the reading. So there is a natural desire this year for closeness and connection leading into this holiday season, however socially distanced it may need to be. While Reverend Jake's recommendations are a good start for thinking about how to get through the holidays and have an adequate Christmas, I think that there are a few suggestions that I would add that pertain to the holidays in this particular year. The first recommendation that he makes, notice those behaviors that you tend to do when you are wound up too tight, is one that I feel like we hear about this time every year and are very quick to brush off and disregard. We know our own quirks and idiosyncrasies and can tell you all the ones our respective family members have, but we too often dismiss them as, oh, that's just how I, or insert relative's name here, is. You know how I, he, she, they get sometimes. I feel like, well, this may have been something that was easy to overlook in pre-pandemic times. It is a lot harder with a webcam shoved in your face and everyone on Zoom being able to see your every facial expression. When I was doing CPE at Baylor, one of the parts of our classroom time was something called IPR. The idea of IPR was for all of the chaplains to sit in a circle facing each other, and as we were having conversation about whatever situation or topic, to notice the particular expressions or behaviors of the individuals in the circle. If there was something that was particularly noticeable, we were invited to speak up and ask the person in the circle about the behavior and ask questions to understand the feelings or emotions that were going on that were behind the behavior. The idea was to give an outside perspective to the person so that they could be aware of the things that they were doing that they were not even aware of, that may be communicating something completely different than what they were intending. Now, While I do not suggest that this is the best thing to try and do with family members this holiday season, the reality is that in trying to gather on Zoom, we can not only see everyone else's behaviors, but assuming that the camera is turned on and our connection is good, we are able to see our own behaviors reflected back at us in the gallery view. And if we can see it and be made aware of it, it can be assumed that everyone else on the call can see it and is aware of it as well, although they may not say anything about it. Perhaps Reverend Jake's invitation to take one particular behavior that we are aware of and focus on it can be used as a mindfulness practice for this holiday season, in hopes of alleviating much of the holiday stress that can build up at this time of year. The second recommendation, say aloud what you want, is often easier said than done, most of the time. This is especially true for my family in particular. Growing up, I used to think that the fact that my family never really fought was something to be proud of. I would hear stories from my friends about fights between relatives, especially during the holidays, and think to myself, phew, I'm glad my family is not like that. We usually all get along. What I did not realize until later on was that in order to avoid not getting into fights between each other, my family would do the very British thing of internalizing and suppressing all of their feelings. While this did make family gatherings go smoothly when we were all together in person, it often resulted in hurt feelings that often went unresolved or unnoticed, or feelings that were so bottled up that they had nowhere to go. Reverend Jake's recommendation is to speak up and set the intention and the expectation of what you are wanting or looking to have happen at the beginning of the time that you spend together. This can be especially important for those of us introducing a new romantic partner to the family for the first time, even more so if they are the same gender romantic partner in a newly established queer relationship. We are trying to reconcile those that we love and those that have nurtured us with those that we are choosing to, hopefully, spend our future lives with. Because they are someone that we care about and someone who we are looking to spend at least part of our lives with, we owe it to them to push through the discomfort and say to our families, this is someone who is important to me. This is someone that I would ask that you treat with respect, because disrespecting them is showing me disrespect as well. It does not have to be those exact words. And it is not saying that there will not be microaggressions and misunderstandings along the way. But it is a way to step into our own and invite our families to truly see us and embrace us for the people that we are, which will always make the holidays a little easier and a little brighter. Finally, the last recommendation, treat the holidays as sacred time. Here, I would reword this a little bit to say something like, it's all about intention and don't leave yourself out in the cold this holiday season. I'm going to go out on a limb and make a guess that we are all suffering from some form of PTSD because of something related to COVID-19. It is safe to say that we need a little of the magic of Christmas this year to regain some of the sanity that we have lost. If you hear nothing else from my sermon today, please hear this. Take the time to do what you need for you. Again, take the time to do what you need for you. One of the definitions of the word sacred is regarded with great respect and reverence by a particular religion, group, or individual. We all have small and insignificant things associated with the holidays that are of importance to us that grow exponentially in importance the closer we get to the actual date of the holidays. One of the ones for me besides baking up a storm, is taking the time to stop and watch the list of quintessential holiday movies that I have amassed over the years. These include the classics, like It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street, and more modern favorites like Elf, Love Actually, and all of the cheesy freeform and Hallmark holiday movies whose basic storyline is all the same. Another one is finding that one radio station, and there is always one in every part of the country if you look hard enough, that starts playing Christmas music starting on December 1st, and having it playing in the background music to my holiday season. Even though COVID-19 has thrown everything up in the air and into the realm of uncertainty, we have more control of regaining normalcy than we might think. It is imperative that we do not lose and completely abandon the things that bring us much needed joy. Taking the time to stop and watch a Christmas movie or dance and sing along to a Christmas song may just be the moment that you need to take a deep breath and tell ourselves that things will be okay and that we have the strength to keep going. Do not give this pandemic the satisfaction of giving up all the things that bring you joy this holiday season. If anything, let your joy be your form of protest, and let that joy still be present this holiday season despite how everything has changed as a result of this pandemic. Most importantly, I wish you and your family, be they actual family or family of choice, the best this holiday season. Together, I am sure that even what is an adequate Christmas can and will be magical for us this year. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Thank you all so much. And may you have an incredibly happy and healthy holidays.